Expats on Air. This is a show where expats meet on the internet and talk. And we're joined today by a very special guest, old China hand, real China fucker, Jamie Vincent. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you introduced me. I'm Jamie V. People probably know me on WeChat. I've been associated with a lot of different personas. So if you have a WeChat following too, don't you?
I wouldn't call it a following, but people know me on WeChat.
Okay. People watch it on WeChat.
People know me. People recognize me on WeChat. Some people hate me. Some people love me. WeChat. Yeah, it's kind of a hit. I'm a polarizing character, I think, on WeChat.
Yeah, you are. So I'm not going to confirm or deny who I was on WeChat, but who I am on Twitter is my pseudonym is a pseudonym I wrote with on. I used to drop political comments on like the WeChat official accounts, the news feeds. That's kind of how I got started on Harry Chen. That was my pseudonym. And when I was on Twitter, I started in 2018, and that's when I first got into Western social media. And from there, I mean, like what happened was I was a non-active account, non-starter, and it was just footage from China. And I was actually posting a lot of really big stuff, but nobody cared. So and then what happened was the virus came, and everybody shat their pants, and they were just like, hey, check this guy out, he's got all these videos from China. And it came down to a good friend of mine, an online friend of mine, because a lot of expats from China, specifically China, in contrast to other countries, are very recluse or keep to themselves and this sort of thing. So a good friend of mine from China, he was telling me, you should change your display picture away from "This is China" to Harry Chen, one of your pseudonyms. And I said, oh, that was great. And that actually the picture of Harry Chen is a good friend of mine, and it's a hand-drawn picture. It's a composite of 3 people. Okay,
so are you a Chinese doctor?
No, I'm not a Chinese doctor. No, and I am. How do you say? I'm very active about telling people the BS behind a lot of traditional Chinese medicine as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I told you I'd do this beforehand, but I'm gonna do the generic taxi cab question in China. 你是哪个国家的?
Yeah, I love this one. 你是哪里的? Where are you from? I love it. I always tell them I'm from Canada. Taxi drivers are the best, and they always go off and they always talk about this doctor I've never heard of and no Canadians ever heard of. Dashan, or is it Dashan?
Dashan?
Yeah,
that's the famous Canadian Chinese speaker.
Okay, no, wait, I'm thinking of another guy. Anyways, there's some Canadian doctor that went to China, and
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard about him, and so anyways, let me just tilt this. I lean forward when I tell stories and stuff. They'd always go off about this doctor and how great he was, but if you Google him, he actually really wasn't that great. It's kind of a shady history, really.
He sounds like a lot of expats in China.
Yeah. But not me. Hey, I do have to say, when you introduced me as China fucker, when we spoke beforehand, you told me I couldn't use foul language, and there you are right off the bat.
I said you can't use the N-word.
Oh, why would I use that word?
Or the CH, you know what word? I just don't want I don't want any racial hate on this show. Or
my goodness, no.
But you can Yeah, this is TVMA. You can use
Yeah,
foul
is it?
language.
No, I.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm not. You know, my wife is Chinese, right? So
I knew that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So and I really like China, and I really like Chinese people as well, right? So there's no real hatred, and actually, with this whole virus going around, I'm really excited to get back over once everything calms down on this end here in Canada, because that's where I am. Once everything calms down here, I'd like to get back overseas. I got friends and family over there, right? I lived there for 20 years, man, almost 20 years.
Yeah, and what brought you over there in the first place?
Yeah, I was a young man. Like in the early 2000s, what happened was the North American economy just had shat its pants. And if you, I don't know, maybe you don't remember because you would be too young, but to really, oh, maybe you would, I don't know. But a lot of people here in North America had like a mortgage, and like my brother, he'd recently got married and he bought a house, and the real estate market just kind of crashed and the economy sort of crashed, and um, that's actually kind of what led me to researching China, because back in those days, China was like a non-starter. Um, I mean, it was an up and comer, but it was really rough around the edges. And basically, what happened was a lot of our primary industries in North America were selling our manufacturing equipment over to Asian countries, and they were able to undercut with cheaper labor costs. And I was an engineer here in Canada, and I used to program computers on ABB robotic arms and CMM machines and CNN machines. And I came over here to China. I started working at Foxconn, which is a big one.
Mm.
And yeah, that's what it was. I looked at a couple countries, honestly. I looked at England and Australia, and they kind of had pretty secure industries. And it just I landed on China. It was the coldest winter in Canada in like 30 years, and I just said, piss on it, I'm gone.
What year was that when you came over?
Oh my gosh, 2000. The cold winter was 2000 and 2000, and then 2001 I made the move. And I
Okay.
started off in Hong Kong, and then I made it to Shenzhen in 2002.
So I was in high school then, and I was in Japan actually in high school, and I did
Yeah.
visit China in 2001. So I know what it was like back then, kind of vaguely, and then
Yeah,
I finally
that's
moved over
different.
there in 2008. So you've seen a lot more than I have, a lot more of the change, and curious to know like
Hmm.
what
Yeah.
what was it like back then in the early
Oh, it was
2000s?
different. I mean, it was a lot of us that were around back then. I mean, there wasn't a lot of us. If you saw another like foreigner on the sidewalk, it was like really awkward, and people would like. I saw this one cowboy with a cowboy hat, like a straight up cowboy hat in Shenzhen, which is a city of like 15 million people, and he's like, what do you call it, moseying? He was moseying down the sidewalk in his hat, and he said howdy to me, and I was just like, wow.
So he wasn't on a horse.
No, no, no,
No.
no. But just crazy, man. So back in those days, if you met somebody, you're just like, "What's up?" And you would start talking, and I mean, like not in a weird way, in a real cool, cordial way. And I think back in those days. Oh wait, do you remember this video and it's been shared on WeChat countless times? And it's this guy, and he's got a garbage can, one of those flip lid garbage cans, and he's like using his magic to lift it up, and he's really just stepping on the thing, and it says you can be anything if you're white in China. And back in those days, that was true. A lot of these guys were clowns, and they were getting fantastic jobs at fantastic companies just because these companies just wanted to have a white dude working there. And they would have arbitrary duties and things to make them feel special. But yeah, some of these guys really climbed up just because they were there at the right time.
Wow. And then if you look at China now, like how would you describe it to somebody who's never been?
I mean, man, China's a huge country. So listen, you could go to Shenzhen, and you could go to Shanghai or Beijing, and you could be like, whoa, this place is off the hook. And it is, and it's like nothing you've ever seen. And the buildings, the tech, the initiative that the government, the amount of money that the government throws at it, and the manpower, and the things they do, and it's pretty incredible. But man, you take a car 30 minutes out of the city, and I'll tell you what, it's a lot different.
How so?
Well, I mean, you've been to China, man. I mean,
Well, it's just
it
for
could
the
be,
audience. This isn't for me. This
yeah,
is for the
yeah,
audience.
right, yeah. Sorry, man. It could be a dump, can it? I went to this one. Like I've been all over Guangdong province, like all over Guangdong province. These cities that people have never heard of, and towns that have never seen a white guy, and I can speak a little bit of Chinese here and there, and I would talk to these guys, and they would just have their minds blown, but they would be doing wild stuff while they're talking to me, like they've never seen a foreigner, and I like to run, and I might be going out for a run in these areas or something like that. And this is before I got fat. And they would ask me like, hey, what are you doing? What's up? And you start a conversation. The kid would run out of the house. All the batteries are used up, and you just like toss them into a pond that they fish out of. And I was just like, man, what are you doing? That will kill you straight up. It's not because they want to. It's because they just don't know. Like they literally don't know. The education system in a lot of ways has failed a lot of the people there. And I don't want to speak too badly about China. We spoke about this ahead of time, and I really like China, and there's things I like about China, and there's things I can't stand about China. And the primary reason that I left China is because I have zero faith in the education system there. Personally, my personal stance.
Okay. And I guess the thing I would say about the countryside in China is there's a lot of rubble. There's just rubble everywhere.
Hey, yeah, I made a comment about this online, and you chimed in. You were like, "Yeah, man, rubble."
I was dying. I've been waiting for years for somebody to also observe the rubble. Finally,
yeah.
somebody did. Yeah.
Or wait, or was it a post that you made and I chimed in? Which one was it?
One of the other. I don't know. I try to talk about rubble as much as possible.
Yeah, there's rubble everywhere, and dogs.
Dogs, yeah. I used to live in Taiwan in the 90s, and it was a lot different there back then. I was a kid, and there was just dogs everywhere, all over the streets, and garbage everywhere.
I've been a whole bunch of times over to Taiwan. Actually, it was funny. One of my neighbors that just moved in, they're from Taiwan. I had no idea. I was just I have a pup, so I was walking my dog and just training my dog, and for whatever reason, they thought my dog was really cute, so they asked me a question, and I look at their bone structure, like their face, and I was like, "Are you guys Chinese?" And they're just like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Boom, let's do it!" And we started speaking, Sprocking Chinese everywhere, and then I was just, "Oh, cool." So immediately, just like you, I was like, "Where are you guys from?" And there's like Taiwan. I'm just like, "Oh, man, so sorry." Like, immediately they're just like, they must get that all the time. Are you guys Chinese, right? And meanwhile they are art,
Yeah, ethnically Chinese.
It's a good thing we weren't texting each other, because
on WeChat especially.
But the spoken language is almost the same. Taiwan's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So you spent a lot of time in Shenzhen, and how would you compare Shenzhen to other cities in China?
Yeah. Shenzhen's the cash cow for modern China. I mean, you're aware of Made in China 2025, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain that? Though?
Yeah, well, Made in China 2025 is an initiative that the Communist Party of China has to dominate several industries worldwide. And I mean, China was making this is the funny thing, right? So China was making excellent progress on Made in China 2025. And this is pre-virus. They're making excellent progress. And then the virus hit. And I remember saying to people, and how wrong I was, I remember saying to people, this is it. This is going to be the moment where everything catches up to them, where people are going to look in and see. And it's kind of a fearful moment for me, because I'm a little bit apprehensive as to what will follow there, because it's really being held together by the party, right? So the virus really hit, and I thought people were going to be looking into everything. And can you hear that squeaking?
Yeah.
My dog's got a toy back there.
It's all good.
So yeah, and I thought people were going to be looking into it, and that didn't really happen. So anyways, to make a long story short, Shenzhen's a big cash cow. Made in China 2025. It's right back on track. A lot of people think that maybe China's slowing down. That's not the case. I remember I saw a map just the other day. Somebody sent this to me, and it was an economic display. It was Forbes or something, and it showed what countries are in economic recession right now. Now you're in the States, right? You're in Texas or something.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Like America's in recession, Canada's in recession, the UK's in recession, most of Europe's in recession, most African countries, Australia, a lot of Asian countries. You know who's not in recession though? Is China.
Yep.
They're really killing it. I mean, like, sure. A lot of people say, yeah, but they're fudging the numbers and they have this fake economy and all this stuff. But I'll tell you what, man, a lot of people are dumping their money into that fake economy, which really validates it. Made in China 2025, I think it's medical is one of them. They're going to be trying to dominate for. I could pull up the list exactly. This is something I used to be really big into about 2 years ago. It's like made in China 2025. They're coming, right? And then the virus hit. And I thought no way, and now I'm thinking, way.
Yeah, they got that rebound.
Yeah, and also the what is it? The new Silk Road. What's that called again? The Belt and Road Initiative.
One Belt, One Road.
One Belt, One Road. Yeah.
And,
sorry, go on.
Yidailu. I was just saying that.
Yeah, sorry. Yidailu. But people start talking to me about this One Belt, One Road, and I would love to tweet about this more often, but it gets no play, and nobody really cares about it. But this is a really big one because this is. I always go on about it at home. My kids and my wife roll their eyes and stuff, and here he goes again. But it's a big one because this is the big one that's actually going to undermine Western cultures, economies. European economies, British economy now, so separate from the Europeans. The Aussies will get undermined for sure, and certainly the North American economy. So it gives one thing that's unique about North America is there's like a road basically. You could drive a truck from the southernmost point to the northernmost point almost, so it gives us the ability to buy, say, bananas year round at a reasonable cost, or oranges, for example, or like these sorts of products. Like commerce can remain open year round, and we can enjoy the good life, so to speak. And I think China wants a piece of that, and the Americans call it the rise of the others. And what that is nations that, say 20, 30 years ago that were considered to be poor are now rising up and having a lot of money. And I mean, look at China's got a World Bank now, right? Just like the Americans. And they can start lending money out to other countries. And it doesn't matter if it's not a hard currency, if other people recognize it, right? So the One Belt, One Road is a big one. And people saying that China's running out of money, and not when they control the printing press, they're not.
Yeah, and there's a lot of skepticism towards the GDP, as you said, but also towards One Belt, One Road. Why is there all that skepticism towards both the GDP and the One Belt, One Road?
Well, I was just watching a financial report, just the other day, and it was kind of like an audit, a report from auditors, and a good friend of mine sent it to me, and it was a real good watch. I can post you a link if you want to link it to this conversation afterwards.
Cool.
Yeah. But it went down to auditing and how the books are, how there's a lot of discrepancies inside the books. It was a really cool watch, man. But we've all known that. You've been there, I've been there. We all know that there's this hyperinflated economy. And the growth is just absolutely ridiculous. You could have 30-40% inflation in a year. That's absolutely ridiculous. And in Shenzhen, where I was, I had a house in Shenzhen. So, I formerly owned a business in Shenzhen, and I used to invest into real estate and to the Chinese stock market as well and stuff. And we bought our house years ago, and we were paying this crazy mortgage. And kids say today in Shenzhen that you need just 2 father-in-laws, 2 mother-in-laws, and 2 fathers and 2 mothers just to buy a house. And that's it. It sounds ridiculous in English, mind you, but that's what they say. That's what
Most
the kids are saying
Chinese,
these days.
most Chinese sounds ridiculous when you directly translate it.
And I'm not a fan of Cantonese. I'm quite a big active poster in saying I dislike Cantonese.
What's wrong with
It's my,
Cantonese? It sounds so entertaining, I could say.
yeah. It's my least favorite. It's my least favorite to speak. But sometimes we do it here in Canada. There's more. I don't know. There's more Mandarin speakers. So if we're near Mandarin speakers and we're near Caucasians and we still want to have our secrets, and we speak Cantonese.
Oh. So I've been to Shenzhen a number of times. I used to work with a lot of big Chinese tech companies. I used to do marketing for them. So like TCL, Vivo.
Nice. Yep.
So I've done a lot of business trips down there. Spent a lot of time there. Notice, a lot of the people in that city, they're not from Guangdong province. They're from all over China.
But that's not the way it used to be. Right. So when I first came there, that was very different. Everybody was Sikgonging, Guangdonghua everywhere. But that's not the case anymore. Everywhere is Putonghua. Have you seen the movie Kung Fu Hustle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that part in the movie where the axe gang comes out into the street and they say like Putonghua, it's like Guangdonghua, and they fight like.
Yeah.
I just spit there for a little bit. I got really excited, but that's a funny part in the movie, and what that shows is like China's coming.
So when do you think that change happened? When did Shenzhen kind of become? I don't know. It's almost like the American melting pot, but China's little melting pot in the South. It's all these different people from all over.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. And we used to have. Let me just tilt this a bit. There we go, so I can get a little more comfortable. It is the melting pot. It just listen. I mean, Chinese people follow money, and you know that, and I know that. Maybe your listeners don't know that, but they should get into that right now. If like if you're watching real estate, if you're watching stocks, if you're invested into Bitcoin, you should be watching what the Chinese are doing. I don't touch Bitcoin, mind you.
You're missing out.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people making money off of it, and there's a lot of people in China making money off of it. Who mined all those Bitcoins, mind you?
I'm making money off of it, yeah.
Hey, good on you, mate. Good on you.
So Shenzhen, you kind of went on a big tangent there talking about China as a whole, One Belt, One Road. But back to Shenzhen.
Sorry, man.
Back to Shenzhen, though. Like, what is Shenzhen? What can you
Shenzhen is a special economic zone.
Okay.
Right. So what happened was the story of Shenzhen, and there's several special economic zones in China, and the story behind them is Deng Xiaoping, and he's one of my favorite chairmen in China. So Chairman Deng, and you can Google him. He's I might get in trouble for this, but he's one of my favorites because his wife looks like a troll. And also, he gave a really inspirational speech at the UN. You can check that out too. And his philosophy on hiding your strengths. I think a lot of people should check a look into that because that's an active strategy the Chinese government uses today. But to get back on that, Deng, who succeeded Mao, he went to he went to Singapore, I believe. And when he came to Singapore, he was under the impression, now of course he knew, but this is how the story goes. He thought that China had the greatest GDP. Now this is how the story goes, and that's baloney because any party member travels the world. And he went to Singapore and he saw Chinese people in Singapore wearing suits and driving cars and making commerce. And he came back to China and he built these like 9 or 11 cities. I forget the number offhand, but somewhere around there, all around the coastal region of China. And that wasn't because they were shipping ports. Actually, the vast majority of them never even lifted off in the shipping industry. That's because it was symbolic to be the furthest point away from Beijing, so new thinking. And it was under the 2001 address for the World Trade Organization that really tickled my interest about Shenzhen. I thought the Chinese government was going to honor their agreement and make the currency a hard currency. I thought Shenzhen was going to explode. And it did. Shenzhen did explode. And Chinese people follow the money, and that's why there's so many people there, and that's why Shenzhen's in the news right now. And it grew so big the Americas became worried, and they fought a trade war just 2 blocks over from my house.
And what kind of stuff were you involved in over there for the most part?
I used to own. I'm best known on WeChat for owning a school, and the school had a few locations in the city, and we hired foreign teachers. And we also taught mathematics and Chinese calligraphy, and it was a training center. And that's how I got started. When I was in engineering, I really hated it, and I remember I called home and I said I just hated it so much, and I wanted to go to university and I wanted to learn the language, and because I couldn't understand what anybody was bloody saying, and the Chinese government said they wanted technicians and they invited everybody down. So, yeah, I learned the language, and then I really started falling in love with it, and then that was it. And then I didn't want to leave. Like 2017, when they changed, when the skies were becoming gray, and Xi Jinping had his reforms for during the 2 sessions, the writing was on the wall, and get out.
Was that like going to be a problem for foreigners to be running schools? Like why?
Absolutely,
what was it that
absolutely,
made you
absolutely. I shut down that business. I actually ran a consortium of businesses inside that business row, and we all worked together. And I formed it, which was kind of illegal in China, because you're meeting and exchanging ideas. But I felt it was in our best interest, and everybody's cool with it, right? They're like, as long as everybody's winning, nobody's going to. As long as we're all working together and everybody's working together. And this is a Hong Kong business strategy, right? So, anyway, so I started this consortium, and we were all doing really well. And then in 2017, I just thought, this is the writing's on the wall. And good thing I did. If the virus didn't hit, I probably could have survived, but I would have had to move to online teaching eventually. I would have had to hire online teachers, and I would have had to outsource and pay for servers and stuff like that. That's just the way of the industry in China. The rent was too high. I was paying, $30,000 for one location a month. It was ridiculous. And then you have staffing on top of that and your overhead. It was absolutely ridiculous. And this is the problem with Shenzhen. It's so bloody expensive. They bleed you dry at every. Well, you were based in Shanghai, right?
Yeah, for 8 years. 8 years, and then I was 4 years in Nanchang, Jiangxi.
Oh, okay. So Jiangsu is way cheaper than Shanghai, right?
Jiangxi. We're talking
Jiangxi, sorry.
Not Jiangsu.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. Much cheaper than Jiangsu, even. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sir. But if I didn't leave China, we would have moved deeper into the mainland. 100%. 100%.
Would you have gone to Henan province?
No, I would have stayed in Guangdong. Guangdong represented. I would have gone to a smaller up and coming city in Guangdong. I would have gone to either Huizhou, or I would have gone to Boluo, and they're both in Guangdong province. They have a new highway linking those cities up. Big manufacturing is moving out there. Housing prices are going through the roof.
I hear Huizhou is a very relaxed place. Is that true?
It's a shithole, man. But yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
It's exploding though, man. I'll tell you what. I left. I took a trip to Huizhou in 2017, and I was with my mother and my father-in-law, and we were looking at an investment property, and 2016, and it was kind of a shithole. Like the whole place was under construction. Like you've seen places like this in China, right? Like it's not like in the West where you see like. You could be walking down the street and see like, well, they're doing something to a building. Here's one crane. You could be walking down the street in China and be like, what the shit? There's like a billion cranes and like everywhere is a construction site. And it's like a whole city of construction. And that's what Huizhou was like. And when I went back in 2019, so I was in China in 2019. And I stayed there for a couple of months, just traveling and tying up some loose ends. And I went back and there was like right next to a farm that somebody in my wife's family has invested into that we sometimes go to. right next to a farm. They built like a water park and a flippin' hotel and all this ridiculous stuff in the middle of nowhere. And but man, it's jam packed full of people and middle of nowhere. And the guy that runs this farm is funny because he's an idiot, and he's never gonna watch this because his English is garbage. And he's an idiot, and he says like, he's holding out. He's already missed the wave, right? So now he's got this farm in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by water parks, hotels, like weird stuff, that's just how China is, man. You can have a luxury garden, and right downstairs there's utter despair, people stripping copper from wires and right next to each other.
Well, maybe those Chinese college kids that do the subtitling for English TV shows, maybe they can do one for this show so that guy can watch what you said about him.
Oh yeah. That would be great. Or better yet, we could run this show through Baidu Translate and just see what happens.
That's an idea. Cool.
Yeah.
Now you have a lot of deep ties to Shenzhen. Do you have any insider knowledge you could share? Or
I do.
Interesting?
Yeah. I can't share too much. I've talked to Serpenza. Wait, I always call him Serpenza.
Serpenza. Yeah, Serpenza.
Yeah, that guy. And Lawai88, although I haven't spoken to him directly in a long time.
86.
I spoke to him. I spoke to him a long time ago when I was on This Is China. And I had this big database of China content. And sorry, I forgot the question. I got sidetracked trying to remember Lawai 88s, and then I got started thinking about his. Thinking about his hairdo, and now I forgot the question because I'm thinking about his hair. He's got this big. He used to have this big haircut that went up like this,
Yeah,
what was the question again, man?
He's got that
deep ties to Shenzhen.
Early 2010s emo band look.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Deep ties to Shenzhen. Sorry, I'm back on track now. Those are my deep ties. No, so they asked me about it, and I said I couldn't. There's something like, listen, man, straight up. There's something I can't say. There's some people I can't say I know, because people are finicky over there, and I get that. Secondly, I still have a house over there. I still invest in the markets over there, although not so much these days. I'm just kind of seeing how things go, but I'm still very much connected to China, and I really want to go back over there. So I don't want to start coming on here and start talking shit. But yeah, I know some people. I watched a lot of things be built. I know a lot of people specifically in the construction industry, the financial sector, the auditing industry, these sorts of things, certainly the high tech industry. And then you probably heard that some people at Tencent know me, or I know some people at Tencent that work for Tencent, and that's true. I know a couple people that work inside there. Nothing big, nothing fancy, just regular folk.
Do you know anybody by the name of Pony?
No, I don't know. A lot of people might have that name, Nate. You know how people name how many apples do you know, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, how the names in China. I'll tell you that. But no, I don't. I don't want to get too much. I don't want to get too much into this. But I do want to just dispel a rumor. There was a nasty rumor going around on WeChat that I was this untouchable person in China, and there was a couple people saying, "Oh, Wheels is untouchable. He's protected by his Tencent connections." That's absolutely rubbish. Just because they own the app, it's absolute rubbish. I have no guardian angel inside China, or I'm not untouchable. That couldn't be further from the case. I mean, hey, look at Jack Ma, right?
He's not untouchable.
He's fine, man. He's in Nanshan right now.
Do you know anything about what's going on with him? Because I mean, right now a lot of people are saying he's been disappeared. That's what people. Yeah,
what's up with Western newspapers? They're saying this guy's gone.
I guess he's not responding to emails.
Well, I mean, does he even respond to emails? Hey, when was the last time you got an email from a billionaire? Right? I mean, come on. This is absolutely silly. Like, okay, Jack, you've been to China. You know who Jack Ma is. In 2017, 2018, 2 sessions, who was behind Xi Jinping? He's got Pony Ma on one side, Jack Ma on the other side, solidifying his position, saying, listen, I got tech in my pockets, right? On either shoulder. These are my guys. And that's very much true. Now, here's another thing I'll tell you. you know about this Ant Group IPO that started as the world's biggest IPO.
Mm-hmm.
Did you follow this? This is big news, right? Like,
I didn't follow it closely. I read a lot of headlines. I can say that.
Yeah, they were going to be trading a huge amount of money, like just every day, like pardon me, these ridiculous amounts of money every day, and there's like a 30 dickety billion. The Kaiser stole our number, 30 dickety billion dollars in for the start of this IPO, and so you pocket a lot of money from that, right? So there's a lot of there's a lot of people in the finance industry that are kind of like, wait a second, this guy got billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, and he just took it from his investors. Right. So I don't know how much you know about crime. I really don't know a lot, but if from movies that I've seen, whenever there's a crime syndicate and one of the underlings runs a scam or runs a crime, you've always got to pay your dues, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, like, hey, listen, if Jack Ma's in trouble, he's not going anywhere until he squares up his accounts, right? So you can guarantee that. But I don't think he is anywhere. I think he's in Nanshan right now. I think he's in Shenzhen, Nanshan, just kicking back, cool as a cucumber. And what better way than to fill plant seeds of mistrust into people's heads than just to not go anywhere? The guy's a bloody billionaire. He could fly his helicopter somewhere and nobody would ever see him. And, there was on Russian reports, by the way. I got on some Russian channels, and Russians are really good for what's going on in China. And on some Russian channels, they're saying he was at a funeral in Hong Kong. It's just kind of a rumor, but these rumors from the Russians, man, I'll tell you what, they got their ears to the ground. They
have very famous rumors, those Russians.
Yeah, you know how I like my rumors, man. You know how China's all talk, and there's something that we call like industry chatter, right? So
yeah.
And this is the thing that, like, even banks use this bullshit term, industry chatter, and investors use this term, industry. It's like an official thing, right? Industry chatter. But it's what it is. There's inside circles, and there's people who talk, and I would probably hear about it if Jack. He's a big guy. I mean, I could ask somebody and get a message back, and I haven't heard anything back.
And you were talking about Ant Financial. Can you explain what that is, real quick?
Yeah, it was basically like a bank, and they're going to loan money to people, and they're going to become like a world bank, but an online world bank. And so like you could go hop onto Ant Financial, I guess, and do something on your computer and get yourself a little bit of a loan and go spend that cash to go fire up the economy. And I guess we're under the impression that this all happened without the Communist Party knowing about it, which is pure rubbish. I mean, the Alibaba headquarters is in Shenzhen, Nanshan, right? And they have like 3 floors that are all party members. And
I thought it was in Hangzhou.
Oh wait, I don't know if it's the headquarters or not, but there's a big building in Shenzhen. I don't know. It's a huge Alibaba building. It's massive.
Yeah, I mean they have to be down there. So Shenzhen is like the Silicon Valley of China.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's actually, I think it's fair to say that the Shenzhen has far surpassed Silicon Valley in America.
What about Beijing though? Because Beijing is also a tech center of China.
Yeah, I know a lot of these tech guys go to Beijing, don't they?
They got things like Sohu.
Well, it's the coders, right? Like there's two different industries in China when we talk about high tech, and when we look at high tech, Guangdong province is a manufacturing province, and previously it was big on pottery and textiles and things like this, but now the government pushed a huge incentive in 2012, I think it was. The government had a huge incentive into clean industries, quote unquote clean industries, right? So. And that's the government gave incentive for all sorts of industries to kind of come into Guangdong province and open up. And previous to that, I mean, Foxconn was already in there, and Foxconn's like a city, man. They have like you've probably heard about Foxconn. They had all the employees that committed suicide, and
they made the iPhone, correct?
They make every printed circuit board that you're going to use probably here on Earth for your computers or your phones. as far as I know. They're massive.
And when you were working there, did you ever feel the need to jump out of a window?
No, I had a fantastic job when I was working. I have really great memories from Foxconn. I can understand it. Like, I can understand it. I used to hang out with people that work there, of course. Here we are talking. I'm a pretty sociable guy, and we go grab a beer. And I don't really drink. I don't really drink anymore. Not because I ever had any alcoholism problems. I just don't like it very much. But we would go out and have a beer and stuff, and go drink. And of course, back in those days, if you were going to go out and have a beer, it's not the same as in the West. We would like literally go to a supermarket, buy some bottles of Qingdao, and go outside and sit in a plastic picnic bench with like advertisements smeared all over it, right? And stickers for like prostitutes and everything all over it. I didn't know that then, because I came right over to China, and I went right to work, and I didn't know what any of these things were. I didn't learn any Chinese at first, and I just thought they were like, oh, they're phone numbers. Somebody stuck on here, but yeah, man, they're all whores, every one of them. I guarantee if I went back to that table, yeah,
crazy. They never matched the picture. I'm sure it's always like some Japanese porn star with some Chinese.
Oh yeah, it's weird. They would shove them under your doors too. A long time ago, that hasn't happened to me. You know why? I bought a house, and we bought a 7th floor walk up, and every floor was a floor and a half, and we lived there for years and years and years. Actually, we still have that house, and we're waiting for the government to reclaim the land and compensate us. So we had that one as a deterrent. Like, who's going to walk up that many stairs to go throw no prostitute in her right mind's going to be spending energy on that.
So this is an apartment building, and your home is on the 7th floor.
In Shenzhen. Well, nobody stays there anymore.
Yeah, and then there's no elevator.
We're thinking about changing it into a rental property.
So that's a pretty common thing in China, where you live in a 6th floor walk up. Usually, if it's 7 or more, they have an elevator, right? Isn't that like?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, that building they put in an elevator right now. They put in an elevator on the outside of it. So that's another thing that we were waiting for, because oh shoot, I can't say why. The government was going to change the health code. And we knew if we held on a little bit longer, they would put in an elevator and the value would increase. So we held on a little bit longer.
Okay, so you mentioned something a bit earlier. You're dispelling a rumor about Wheels. Who the hell is Wheels, and what are you talking about? I mean, I know what you're talking about, but people listening don't know.
Yeah, Wheels. Wheels was a persona, yeah, it was an account I used on WeChat, and what it was a persona, because everybody used a persona, not a persona, but nobody used their real name and their real photo, because everybody was so paranoid there about the government and all this sort of stuff. So I used to run a chat group online, and the idea behind the chat group was to bring a lot of foreigners together and just talk shit about China. When I say talk shit about China, a lot of it was venting about China or other things. We actually made a pretty cool community online, but it became really destructive, because there's a lot of like degenerates that go to China because maybe they can't find a job in their own country, or they don't have any skills that can be quantified or anything. So they just go to China because they just have to be white to get a job, and they just end up there, right? So we built this foreigner community. It was really cool. I still stay in contact with a lot of the guys on there, and yeah, that's what it was. And Wheels was just a character. I did a lot. There's a lot of like, how do you say? Nobody knows who Wheels is, and Wheels is Spartacus. And I spoke to you about this before, and it was a strategy I made online. I just, if I just threw an army of this guy's Wheels, and that guy's Wheels, and this guy's also Wheels, he's using all these accounts, and it was the ultimate smokescreen to fool people into thinking that where was I, what country was I in, what time zone was I in, who was I, and to question themselves. Is this guy Wheels? Is that guy Wheels? And to muddy the waters and plant seeds of mistrust. So that took hiding from a persona one step further, and kind of made it really elusive. Now, inside that foreigner community that we built, most of the people actually really knew me in real life, and we could go out and have a beer, or go throw some darts or something, or shoot some billiards, and they all found out, I was just a regular dude.
So this community, a lot of these guys were in Shenzhen then.
A lot of them were, but we had guys all over. We had guys in Beijing. We had guys in Shanghai, Chengdu. Chengdu was a big one. A lot of people don't know. There was a lot of guys from Chengdu. There was guys in Singapore, Guangzhou, Chongqing, Guilin, all over. So it became a vast network inside China, and it wasn't just the foreigner group. We actually had other groups and other communities that we sort of prop up as well. So by the time I came over to Western social media, I was kind of an old hand at forwarding around content sort of thing.
Yeah. And I remember years ago, I think it was somebody from your network of WeChat identities. They invited me into a group that was just called wild animals or nature. It was just people sharing videos of wild animals doing crazy stuff.
Ban Fing Fing.
Yeah, it was him.
Ban Fing Fing, BFF. Yeah. You know what, man? Pardon me, COVID. I never got into. I never understood what that group was. What is that group? Wasn't it just weird? It was.
I left it almost
weird
immediately.
Animal? I don't know. It was. I joined it. Am I in that group? I don't know. I have so many banned accounts now.
So you had hundreds of groups, and they covered topics, kind of like that, where there's one is this wild animals.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. We did. We had hundreds of groups.
Yeah.
Hundreds. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to ask me a question about the animal group. I went into this group and I was like, what the heck is this garbage? And there's hundreds of people in it at one time. Just BFF posting animal. But so we'd all do these things, and we'd have bots, and they would just provide content. And the idea is we would sort of provide these large content feeds online, and we would add about 1%, 2%, 3% subversion into them, where we would have pro-democratic ideas or anti-party ideas, and it would just be so subtle that nobody would notice. And it was, and we operated for years doing that, and subtly introducing ideas and introducing people into our community as kind of like a feeler, right? So put the ideas out there, see who agrees, and then we can introduce them to communities and get like-minded people together.
So you feel safe talking about this right now on the internet?
Oh, I mean, like from what?
From the Chinese government.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, this is on WeChat, right? I could just be some guy just talking garbage, right? Somebody could have paid me, honestly. Somebody could have paid me to say this. Or maybe it's just disinformation, right? Hey, isn't Wheels famous for being the master of disinformation? If I'm not mistaken, that's the one thing that everybody says about Wheels, is he's the master of disinformation. This guy's Wheels, that guy's Wheels. Everybody's Wheels.
That's correct. I mean, so, even today, I was looking at a group chat, and I saw the name Wheels pop up, and it was like,
oh yeah, everywhere.
Eurasian Tiger is Wheels.
Oh yeah, E.T. Yeah.
So who's Eurasian Tiger? Can you explain that character, that WeChat character?
Eurasian Tiger is actually a real person. This is a real dude, and to the best of my knowledge, that is the real Eurasian Tiger on WeChat. To the best of my knowledge, that's him. That's the real deal, the real McCoy. There's been a lot of speculations. It's this person, it's that person. It's not. That's him. That's the real deal. The writing style checks out. The display picture checks out. It's got to be, right? You can't fake that sort of stuff. So Eurasian Tiger it's a funny thing. It's not funny. It's really scary, and this is a real thing. Sorry, I got this carpet. I got this throw carpet in here, and this old chair. And I was supposed to have a new chair arrive, but it's not here yet because of COVID. Eurasian Tiger is this funny, not funny thing, and it's called Hapa. And have you heard about the Hapa community?
Yeah, why don't you explain what that is, though?
So, my kids are half Chinese, and a good friend of mine introduced this community to me, and I guess he was just trying to see. There's
Here he is.
Oh God, this guy. So yeah. So anyways, he's angry at his white father because he thinks his white father's like a Nazi. I guess this is the backstory, and his Asian mother has disgraced her Asian heritage. And
she looks down on Asian people, right?
Yeah. No. He attacks white male, Asian female relationships and says they're inherently racist. And this seems to really bother white males, this argument. So he just goes around online, and this is what he argues online all the time. For me personally, like I have Eurasian Tiger, when Eurasian Tiger first came on, I was a real big fan, but I'm not a big fan of Eurasian Tiger in chat. Now, I own a chat group with Eurasian Tiger in it. I know, and a lot of people say it's me, but I think I'm not such a large fan of him in a chat group. I do like the reactions he gets from people. He does drive engagement, and that's an important thing. So when you're looking at online communities, your engagement is really important for algorithms, and Eurasian Tiger really does drive the engagement. And I've had people in my chat group ask me, "He's like, what's up with this guy? Why won't you kick him out? Why won't you kick him out?" And I was like, "Man, I'm gonna mod this guy, right? Like, give him his voice, And I kind of like that, but his pictures are absolutely hilarious, blue steel, and this is a real dude, and all the stuff that this guy does, it's a real creepy community.
I think this is his profile pic right here.
Yeah, it's got a weird shaped face. And sorry, man, I was at Costco today, and do you ever go to Costco?
I've been to Costco. I don't go often though.
Okay, yeah. I love Costco, and I was there today, and I never do it. And I was walking past there on the way out, and I was walking past their like sort of restaurant thing there. They sell these like garbage hot dogs, and it smelled so good. I got one, and now I'm like burping like crazy. Anyway, so pardon me. Eurasian Tiger. So this Hapa community is super creepy, and they talk about some really creepy shit, and it's legit racist stuff. It's like anti-white hate. And now you said, like, at the beginning of this, you said, like, don't drop any N bombs or don't drop any like C bombs. I don't even like to use the word nong. I'm not a very racist person by any stretch of the imagination, and I think that's something that kind of happens online in WeChat.
Yeah.
Because Chinese people, okay, they don't even have a word for racism in Chinese, right? This word does not exist in the language. There's no such concept in Chinese as racist, right? Like, you are what you are, and that's what you are, right? That's how they think of it, and that's just what it is, right? So, if you were a black man applying for a job in the high-tech industry, or if you were a white man applying for the job in the high-tech industry, do you think you would have a better chance inside China in getting it if you were white or you're black? Now, I'm not going to make you answer that question, but if I was an employer, I would have an easier time integrating you with my staff members. Now, this is a fact if you were white, and there would be a lot of stigma if you were black. People would think, whoa, how come, like, so what I just said, sorry, like, how come, like, that's really, so scary, or like, you'd be like, there's a black guy coming, there's an African coming. They would be legit scared because they legitimately do not know. They're fed absolute bullshit and rumors from day one. However, I want to touch on this for a second. There's a lot of riffraff that go to Guangzhou. Have you ever been to Guangzhou?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you probably know that there is a lot of riffraff that go to Guangzhou. It's Guangzhou's an ancient city. It's an ancient trading port. It's kind of like the it's the textile trading port. And like when I came to China, that's what everybody was getting rich off of, selling mobile phones out of Guangzhou. And they get a lot of Africans there, and there's nothing wrong with Africans. I have tons of African friends in China. There's not so many here where I am right now, but I guess if there was. Anyways, so lots of African friends over there. That's not what I mean. They literally are from the continent of Africa, and like they're passport holders of an African country. And there is a lot of there's lots of visa overstays there because people can make more money in Guangzhou than they can in Africa for some countries. And it's pretty much easy to do. Like all you have to do is just don't leave, and there's no cops. And if there are cops, you could probably talk your way out of it if you knew how to talk the right talk.
So you mentioned the word "nong," and you don't this as a pejorative. You don't like this word, but it's just a word in Chinese. What does it mean?
Nong is it's the racist. It's used as a derogatory term towards Chinese people, and it's using something that's you've probably heard it in Shanghai, and I certainly heard it in Shenzhen. Now, Shenzhen and Shanghai have two unique aspects to them. One is they don't like outsiders, right? So the Shanghai people don't like people from the other side of China, and Shenzhen people, they don't want these people from the mainland China. They consider them farmers, and that's what nongming means, is farmer, nongming. So like when they look at they see this person, he could be very low class background, and they could be thinking like like this guy's like just a farmer or dirt. And inside the culture as well, you might note that people in many Western cultures will go to a beach when they go to kick back on a vacation, right, and want to get a little bit of color in their skin. That's just the opposite in Chinese culture. That would denote that you are a farmer working outside, and you're of low class background, right? So that's what the term nong means. Is it means from a low class background, or kind of like a hick or a yokel or hillbilly or white trash equivalent.
Peasant.
Peasant, or I suppose, yeah. I guess. But it's used in a way that like inside their culture is kind of like, we wouldn't use peasant nowadays, right? Like you wouldn't look at me and say this guy's a peasant, but you could say like this guy's white trash based on what I'm doing. Like I'm here talking about a Costco hot dog. You think this guy's white trash, right?
We are wearing
Costco a tie. Hey, this could maybe this is one of those clip-on ones that the cops wear. Who knows, right? Master of disinformation. But yeah, it's used in a negative way, and sometimes I'll use it with my wife, and she'll ask me like a stupid question that's like common sense. I'll be like, no, like Tyson, no, like this sort of thing. But it's also used as an adjective to describe something being of. Now, this is how I like to use it, but it's often confused, so I don't use it. Something of rustic nature. Now, a lot of foreigners these days don't really speak Chinese very well, and my Chinese pronunciation, by the way, is terrible. And I'm not going to come out here and be swinging it and like I'm some sort of like I've met people in China that speak legitimately perfect Chinese. I have an accent, but a lot of people don't learn the term rustic, and that's even said for Chinese people. They don't learn the term rustic, and the word nong or nongi is what the foreigners add a y on the end of it to make it an English adjective. Is something that's of rustic nature or simplistic. Or there was a video I uploaded to YouTube, and it was a bunch of people on a dirt road, and they had some really obnoxious techno music that was blaster speakers, and there was a guy like strumming a grass broom, and a guy on an electric scooter pretending to play the drums, and some like ayi that like an auntie that sells roasted water chestnuts, like pretending there's all these farmers are kind of like, they're literally farmers, are sitting around, and hawkers and farmers are pretending to go to get down with this tune, and they're doing it on TikTok, right? And it's cool, and it's happening, and this lawyer friend of mine in the States, and him and I were watching, we're just like, this is the essence. And he's fluent in his Chinese is fantastic. And him and I were just watching, this captures the very essence of knowingness. And in a way, nobody will ever appreciate the beauty of that video as much as that fine gentleman and myself. That video is just an obscure video, but it really captures it. Maybe, you know what? I'll upload that video to you, and you can probably attach it to this video or something on there. It's on TikTok. It's got the person's user number in there, so throw in some traffic.
So that music, that type of music you hear in China, now people used to call it Nong techno, and I thought that wasn't a good enough one, so I call it Nong beats. I think that encompasses more.
Yeah.
So this is just to let people know how it sounds. So I'll just play a little bit. It's just got this distinct synth sound that you don't really hear anywhere else. It sounds like really dated electronic music and very simple beat patterns. Yeah.
It's absolutely awful.
When did you start hearing Nong beats? When you first went to China, did you hear it, or did it emerge?
Day one, not in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a different world. I'm sure you've been to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong's really changed. We can talk about that in a minute. I was there in 2019 with a lot of good friends of mine. Most of my friends are from Hong Kong, or Hong Kong businessmen that live and work in Shenzhen. So in Hong Kong, when I came there, nothing. There was no obnoxious music. The only thing I remember from Hong Kong is when I came off the plane as a very young man, I was just hit with the wall of humid air, just like a sack of bricks. And I was wearing like Canadian corduroy pants and a hoodie, and I was a really young man going to China. I was a very, very young man. And then when I came to Shenzhen, it was a different story. I mean, I got ripped off right away, and there was techno music. The smell of durians, or those like jackfruits. That's all I could smell everywhere were these, because I came like during that season, right? So yeah, it was real. Like it was so offensive to so many senses. Like my first experience in China, like there was terrible smells. It was like terrible sights. The people, like I was so afraid. When I first came to China, the people were I'm like drooling here as I'm saying it. The people were so scary, and I didn't know what I was like. Now I know, right? Like I could walk down the street there and be like, "Hey man, what up?" But when I first came there, I was like legit scared. There's dudes with their shirt off, like just kind of their pants pulled up. Like, what the heck are they doing? It was the most offensive for all my senses: the techno, the smells, the sights, everything. It was terrible. I never got used to it. I hate it. I hate that music. And they blare it at pharmacies and supermarkets, don't they?
I like it in small doses. It kind of cheers me up. It's I don't want to hear it if I'm like headed to work and I'm not in a good mood or something. But if I'm driving on a road trip, I might want to put on a Nong Beats jam. Just to feel good. Well, Mela, because they usually take maybe an acoustic song that kind of becomes popular in the internet amongst the countryside people, and then they they make this remix of it, a dance remix that's also popular in the countryside. And you see these videos, I'm sure they went through your group chats a lot, but just all these people on a stage blaring that music, and just they're in this dusty countryside having this giant
I love those videos. Those are the videos that I was like, I'd be like, yeah, I can't believe it. They finally got another one. Guys, look. And everybody would be like, what's this? No, man, I love it. And there was that one song that I'm sure you know that. I don't know if you know that song, but that's like always going around. And, the one that, what is it? Oh, heavens me.
Nanren Joshile.
Oh,
yeah, that one. Yeah, that's the big hit.
My God, they blast that one to death. That's one of the most offensive ones. Xiaopingguo.
Yeah, I can't stand that one. I like Nanren Joshile. That's my favorite Nong Beats jam. It's Men Are Just Tired. It's such a ridiculous song. It's just this guy like, man, we're so tired. We got to take care of them. And
but meanwhile, Chinese men are the laziest buggers, aren't they? The women do all the work, don't they? No, like the whole country, the women rule China. Chinese women rule China.
I would say men have a lot of obligations, but overall, I don't really see them working that hard, I would say.
No. There are a lot of obligations. That's one thing Westerners don't get is the pressure in China is immense.
Yeah.
And when I was in China, I worked 7 days a week. I remember 2016 was the first time I had a Christmas, and I was like, boom. Christmas, we're getting a tree. We thought we were going to get a real tree, and this German couple, and actually, they're all German couples. All my friends turned out to be German at that time, and we tried to find a real tree and have this like real traditional Christmas. We got a goose and stuff, and it was really cool. But we couldn't find a real tree.
Just to clarify my statement, obviously there's a lot of hardworking Chinese men. Look at Jack Ma, Pony Ma, all these people.
He's not hardworking. I bet you he's a lazy. Wait.
He probably was at one point.
I probably can't wait. Can I or cunt I say cunt?
You can say cunt.
He's probably a lazy cunt, isn't he?
Well, maybe now. I mean, I probably would be if I was.
Yeah, right.
I would just delegate everything, but yeah.
He's back there in Nanshan, just kicking back, being lazy, eh?
But he built it back in the.
He built it, yeah.
A long time ago,
well,
late '90s, right?
Let's be fair. He built it with a lot of help, eh? There's a story about, you know, the story about Jack Ma working, you know, in a little one-bedroom apartment, you know, tucked up against his computer, working there. Let's be frank. If you're gonna run a big company inside China, you need the party's backing to get you to help lift you up, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he worked hard at probably doing what he was supposed to do, and that's probably what got him where he was. Where he is. Present, continuous.
China.
This is China. All right. I want to go back to the WeChat a little bit because I feel like we didn't go deep enough into there. We still got Eurasian Tiger up on the screen. He's.
Yeah, we do. He's a handsome guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I just love looking at him. What are some of the other personas you created? There's Wheels. Maybe not Eurasian Tiger. He's just a guy that's on WeChat. But are there any other personas that you created on WeChat that got some kind of notoriety?
Yeah. I mean, I used to leave political comments under Jian Feng, and then I was Professor Li, who was a Beijing university professor. Basically, like, I used to mess around in foreigner groups, and I used to like directly translate Chinese and leave an English reply. And it was funny because it was funny for foreigners, for some foreigners, because they would see a man of high like prestige or an intellectual that's like typing English like an absolute fool. But like, honestly, this is how a lot of people speak Chinese. Like, we Chinese people, you know, like, you know, we so many people start their sentences 我们中国人, we Chinese people, all right? Like,
well, you got to do it this way. 我们中国人.
Yeah, 我们中国人太厉害. They get right into it. I've been out of China for a few years now, and I very rarely speak, but I can still read pretty good. But anyways, yeah, they get really into it. The you know, 我们中国, or like 我们中国this, 我们中国that, 你们, you know, you're America this, or you're Canada this. Usually you're America this, right? But
你们美国
that's just how they, yeah. So the foreigner community would get a little bit of a laugh out of those. However, those accounts were like, if you were a foreigner, you really couldn't get into a lot of communities that were kind of closed, gated communities, Chinese communities, and therefore I needed an account that would allow me to be a Chinese person in picture and in presence. So of course I can read and write Chinese, so I would be able to type to them in Chinese, so be, you know, one of us. And on the odd occasion, I'd have to leave a voice message, and I'd be fine with that. You know, so it'd be pretty easy to leave like you know, just, all you have to do is just sound like you don't speak Chinese well, and this guy's, oh, he's a Chinese guy. You know what I mean? Like, nobody speaks Chinese in China. So yeah, so, you know, they're all speaking these regional dialects. So how are they to know, anyways? You know, it seems to check out. You could throw together a couple words. It seems grammatically correct. You know, he can type it good enough. And picture checks out. And then from there, I kind of met a lot of people. Like, I met people that worked in the steel industry and other things and other industries. And I met people for investment groups and closed communities on WeChat that just basically did not allow foreigners in. So that was the reasoning behind these characters. It wasn't just because, you know, this guy's got nothing better to do. I actually have a keen interest in China, China's economy, Chinese economic growth. And I'm a China watcher, man. Like I'm one of those guys that like watch China. I'm real keen on it. And part of that was not just being like a Zhongguo Tong like in China, but like actually like being one online as well, where I could be one more effectively and not be segregated because I'm not Chinese. And I want to say this as well, mind you. Maybe some of my followers will be a little bit disappointed that I'm some regular guy or that I'm not Chinese, but dare I say, if they unfollow me now, that they are racist.
Don't unfollow Dr. Harry Chud, even though he's a white guy in Canada.
Because you're a fucking racist.
So one thing I recall from a lot of those communities that you helped harvest, I guess, was this drama that would constantly be going on in the expat community. I remember there's this guy, I've never met this guy, but he's pretty famous on WeChat. He has a liquor shop or something in Guangdong province. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. No, I met him before. Yeah, that's the quote unquote the mayor of Liquor Town, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's a nice enough guy. He's a bit of a weirdo, but I had bought alcohol from him before. We were having a party, and not like a big party. It was like kind of like we were looking for some bottles of wine or something like that, and he'd been asking me for an endorsement online for a really long time. So I said, yeah, like I'll buy your stuff, and I'll try it out. And if I like it, I'll tell people it's good. And that's what I did. I told people it was actually pretty decent. I didn't have any problems with it. But meanwhile, there was these other people who I guess really disliked him. That were, I guess, trying to tarnish it. Is he still around on WeChat?
Yeah, every now and then I still see some drama about him. I don't know what's going on ever with this mayor of Liquor Town, but he always seems to be in trouble.
He's harmless. He's just a guy. He's a nice enough fella, I guess. I haven't spoken to him in years. No, but it's funny, like, so my wife's name starts with the letter E, and my name starts with the letter J, and it was a joint account between us, so we took the name EJ, and that was our liquor town account. My assistant made this account for me, mind you. I gave her. She had my personal information and credit card information. Not credit card, but she had access to my WeChat Pay and Alipay, right? Like as my assistant. So she had made this account and procured it, and she had spoken to him. And I guess like there's some dude on WeChat who's a real great friend of mine. His name is EJ, and I guess he had pieced together that I was EJ. This EJ guy, I guess, was having some heated argument with this mayor guy. Is he, so you said he's still around?
Yeah, and that EJ guy.
And
Wait, so EJ, I know, there's another EJ that's not you?
I know EJ. Yeah, I speak to him every once in a while. Yeah.
Because on WeChat, that guy every now and then will say I'm part of CC Gay. That's the only thing.
EJ or
EJ?
Or the mayor? Which one?
EJ.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, there was a community online that was called CCJ, and that was the original foreigner community. And then there was the Great Divide, where the community split up into two different parts. And then there was the reemergence of CCJ onto WeChat, and then I gave it to some other dude. I forget who it was. He was everybody hated him too. Everybody hated this guy online, and I just gave him the group. I was just like, boom, give it to this guy, and I was just kind of done with it. Yeah, there was always a lot of drama on there, and I think it probably attributes to people not having not being grounded enough in their life, or maybe they can't vent like outside, or they can't vent at work, so they go and they vent online. And this is like a Japanese thing, so maybe that's the sort of theory behind it. I don't know. Most of these guys, I'll tell you this, most of these guys that have these online rivalries. Now, I don't know what's going on with the mayor. I haven't spoken to him in years. And last time I spoke to him, we were on really good terms. So I played along with him for a little bit, and he enjoys it. But most of these guys I have bad blood with, that say they have blood, I'm actually really good friends with. We speak often. I wouldn't buy too much of the hype. I think a lot of people like inflating this idea of wheels more than actual wheels is an actual thing. You know, it's like North Korea. You always have to have a perpetual enemy, and that gets you by with just how shitty life is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in China, like let's be frank, a lot of people in China are not doing as great as they portray that they are doing. Life is expensive in China, and not only that, but the vast majority of those guys were from these online communities. They were, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This message is an old message. Sorry, it popped up. These guys. A lot of them are doing teaching, and a lot of them have had to move to online teaching because that was the shift of the industry, and it's just hard to get by, man. I think a lot of these guys are even in like places like they've moved to places like Vietnam or Cambodia to chase the lower cost of living and still work online. You know, for me, I don't think I could ever work online. I didn't even have Zoom. I had to install Zoom just to do this meet with you, right?
Yeah. So I was
trying
to find a picture of, just to give some context to this, but I can't seem to find it. There used to be this like top 10 list of most wanted WeChat accounts or something. I can't find it right now. But
I was the number one, wasn't I?
Yeah, or Wheels was the number one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was ranked the number one. It was funny too because I never really got too into it. I was ranked the number one troll in China for like 4 or 5 years, and I didn't even really like trolling very much. It was just kind of, I was associated with it. Everybody thought I was these accounts that I wasn't. But meanwhile, we were just all trying to scramble and scrounge for these obscured videos that would be banned from the Chinese internet. So we were just trying to share all this media around, and I don't know how I got I used to leave political comments. I mean, you probably read some of the comments that I've written, right?
Yeah.
So some of them could be kind of radical. Some of them can kind of be like, you know, I'm just taking a Chinese idea and just flipping it around like a harmless Chinese idea. It sounds so awful in English, and always blaming somebody else. So just assuming the role of the Chinese commenter.
So Dr. Harry Chen, PhD. He kind of talks like this, right?
No, I don't. I don't do Chinglish anymore. I've done a few Chinglish. I had one. Oh man, I had one that had 700 and something thousand views, and it's just like on my PhD parody account. I don't. Somebody advised me to open up this account and name it parody, and that really undermined me. So it undermined my my ability to broadcast. People see any post, pardon me, that I would make, and they would immediately assume it's bullshit. This guy's got the name parody in his name. So I just got rid of that account. It's still available. Like, the account's still around. And then I moved over to Harry Chen PhD 1. And that was still because the name Harry Chen PhD had a little bit of inertia, however small. And I had to kind of build that up. And I wanted to step away from the name Harry Chen because it's weird, man. Okay, so if I don't post for like 2 days, you know what happens? People start texting me like, "Yo, are you captured by the Chinese government?" It's crazy.
Yeah, I've seen some big China watcher types take your account seriously. Like, I think, was that General Spalding guy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Well, is it the PhD? So most of my tweets are really serious. So, but not on PhD parody. I don't mess around on any of my other accounts. I still on Harry Chen PhD 1. I started giving my own thoughts on matters, and I started using that as my opinions, and that got my account censored. So I no longer offer my views on subjects. And Harry Chen, the parody PhD one that I'm just kind of posting like memes on there every once in a while, or if I come across a funny Chinese video, I'll post it on there. But typically speaking, I won't do Chinglish. Like something that works in China on the Chinese intranet is not going to work in the West on the Western internet. There's the market there is closed, and the market here is open and vast. So it just you have to kind of broadcast, and I'm really learning a lot of things about Western social. This is not my job, right? Like this is not what I do for a living. This is just me posting stuff because I intercept a lot of messages just inherently from my background of just trafficking information inside the walled country. So it's just I intercept a message, and honestly, man, a lot of this stuff too, like I'll post some stuff on there, and let's see here. So some of these things, like I'll post, and they could be like, there's an explosion that happened. Yes, in China, there's always fires and explosions and all sorts of crazy stuff happening because it's just it's wickedly mismanaged and unprofessional in a lot of regards. Not the government, the private sector. So some of these things will be pretty big, and people will see and be like, yo, wow, this is a big one. And then I'll take another one. Well, I'll be like, well, okay, well, shoot. If I start digging around for explosions, I guarantee I'm going to find some more because people say they're happening all over, these explosions. So let's see. I'll find out if they are happening all over, and I'll find some more, and I'll post them. And that one will get almost no traffic. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what's hot. I don't know what's not. It's just kind of like something I see or I intercept, and not I intercept, or a lot of the times people just send it to me. Be like, hey, straight up, man, can you have a little bit of influence. Would you mind tweeting this? And of course, I'll have to vet it. So I'll have to send it to people and ask some people. So kind of do that, and then if it sort of checks out, then I'll make it to Twitter. And if it doesn't check out, then it might make it to my parody if I want to have a little bit of a laugh with it. But I got to be really careful because you can really offend people online here, and I don't want to be offensive in any way, and I just kind of want to be sort of sort of honest in a way, as honest as I can be,
Yeah, the whole thing about the Chinglish, like if your audience is foreigners in WeChat groups, you could do some subtle Chinglish stuff that, can be pretty funny for people who get it. People who like interacted with people speaking Chinglish all the time. But if you're in Twitter, people just think it's racist or something. They don't really get the subtlety of it.
It kind of is. Now I'm fairly fluent in Chinese. So for me, I can kind of have a little bit of a laugh at it and just kind of just blow up. It's just a direct translation, but so for me that's kind of how I hear it. But yeah, it can come across really rough around the edges. So when I make those posts, when I do a post with Chinglish on it, I'm kind of doing that for like I'm never expecting these posts to really take off. Like if you look at the vast majority of my posts, my engagement's actually very, very, very low. I really don't know what I'm doing, but so some of these Chinglish posts, I'm actually just kind of doing this for a small circle of friends, just the kind of into it. Back in the old days, we used to make these sorts of posts. Have a look. And another one I do that a lot of people don't know I do is I do H.P. Lovecraft quotes for when Chinese people are doing line dancing, which my wife and I call Chinese flash mobs. I don't know if flash mobs is still a thing. I kind of left in the 2000s and culture kind of stopped for me. But those like people that do like the line dancing exercises. Yeah. I always do H.P. Lovecraft quotes for the dancing, and like things like the most unspeakable horrors that sometimes fall within man's grasp. So I like to do those ones for them because they're really just not that video, and people usually just reply in the comments and they're just dancing, man. What's the matter?
I was trying to pull one of these up, but loading a little slow, so yeah, we don't need to focus on that. So back to CCJ for a second. So China's Circle Jerk, this is a community. I've talked about it a couple times on this show in a couple of episodes. Yeah. Briefly. Now, China's Circle Jerk was this community. It started on Reddit, right?
That's correct. Originally it started on 4chan as a hidden group, as the story goes.
Oh.
And then it moved over to Reddit, into the Redditors community, and that became CCJ. And then I think there's a bit of a falling out. Like the mod, there was a mod transfer issue, and it's kind of a long, boring story. And so some infighting in the foreigner community, and it kind of crumbled apart. And then some guys built it back up again, and I don't know if it's still a thing now. I mean, I walked away from it years ago, and I've never really looked back. I still have my private account, my private account on WeChat, and of course that's where I have all my business associates. And I've recently joined. You've seen me. I've recently joined back to This Is China, which is on group number 24 now.
So this is a WeChat group that I really like. It's called TICR. This Is China, and it gets banned every several weeks or so, like every month or something. Right. So then every time there's a new one, it's like number 9 and then number 10 and then number 11. Yeah. So you always see, like, it's always clear, oh, this group's been banned a lot.
Yeah. And I used to work as not work, but I kind of contributed as an associate mod for that group when it first started. And that's probably like that group right there is probably the although it's a little bit more dead now. I think people are apprehensive about posting, but that group used to be the best place for content in anywhere.
Yeah, it took over CCJ. It was like the new CCJ essentially, at least from my point of view.
It was. I mean, like that was. I mean, well, that was what the idea kind of was, right? So, was to transition over, rebrand, and then do that. And to some extent, it was kind of successful, but it's really hard to build something up if you're not really like dedicated. And I'm not really dedicated to WeChat. In fact, my last year on WeChat, I spent trying to convince foreigners to get off WeChat. And I kept on saying, I don't know if you were available during that. People were saying, "What's up this guy's ass?" Like, they thought I was trying to undermine their groups, or maybe they. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But I assume that people thought I was trying to undermine their groups or whatever. But really, I was trying to. People should worry about their privacy in China. WeChat is a excessively malicious app. I won't even have it on my phone. You can see my phone there. It says Big Wang, Big Wang.
Nice. So I remember you created you created a Telegram group. Yeah. So I remember it got posted to TICR, and it's like, hey, check out this group, and I definitely joined because I was worried about WeChat at that time, and I'd been in WeChat jail already a couple times, and I didn't think my WeChat would be around much longer. So I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to Telegram.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Telegram. I went to a few apps. I went to a few different apps outside of WeChat, and the idea was I was gonna find an app for foreigners, and then I was gonna present them with this app, and then find a way to virtualize it onto like the WeChat servers and stuff like that. So I opened up a QQ cloud, and then I made it so anybody could access it anonymously, and then I had shadow sockets on there so people could not have to use VPNs. A lot of foreigners are using VPNs in China. Guys, you're doing it wrong. So I tried virtualizing that to foreigners as well, and teach them how to do this stuff, and really just kind of be a little bit of a bit more of a ghost for the Guailaos in China, and it didn't really take off. People didn't join. When I sourced Telegram, it really looked like it had a lot of solid potential. It's never really taken off for me on my Telegram channel has never really taken off. My Telegram chat has never really taken off. In fact, a good friend of mine was just saying you got like a lot of really suspicious accounts in your Telegram chat, and I haven't really like I'm in the chat, but I'm just kind of just talking, just chit-chatting here and there, or just chit-chatting about China. It's not very active at all, really.
Do you want to invite people now? you want to invite people, anybody listening, to join?
It's a completely open chat. I mean, like there's absolutely no restrictions on people joining. However, if they post something really creepy, I'll totally kick them out. Right? Like that's. And there's this Hunter Biden stuff. Can you say Hunter Biden? Will you get banned if I say Hunter Biden? Hunter
I'm
Biden
cool
conspiracy?
with it. Just nothing too crazy. Don't incite violence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I promised you a ban. Yeah. No, so Hunter Biden. People are posting these things, these Biden things inside my chat, and I had to tell people. I wasn't going to delete it, but I had to tell people, like, listen, you should delete that. I don't want that in my history. Not my history on my phone. A virtual history. I don't want that file on my phone because when I see something, it transfers to my hard drive. Right? Like I don't want that.
Well, yeah, because there's this kind of dissident Chinese site that was posting all that stuff. What was it called? Like GDN or I can't remember the name. But they were posting a lot of.
Miles Guo was posting that.
Yeah, it's his people.
Was it?
Yeah, it's I think he's the money behind it. But yeah, other people are running it.
Yeah, it's some maybe some people have been watching them. Some of them tried contacting me, and I sent him a message back. And if you're watching this, why won't you text me back? What's going on? Anyways, I'm not a huge Miles Guo fan until Miles Guo starts sending pictures. Boy, that guy can work the camera. Have you seen him do his things?
No.
I used to. Oh man, he does. I always joke in the Telegram group. I'm sure he's a really nice guy. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy. I would love to meet him. But so I always talk about in my Telegram group that being his assistant must be absolute murder because he gets like a new outfit or something. He's on his yacht and he does like these fashion poses with his new clothes on and stuff. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I used to post this all the time. And I used to post Miles Guo pictures, and just him just posing. I used to get a great kick out of it. There he is. I
didn't mean to play that.
No, that's all right. The story is that he is an exiled businessman. So the story is an exiled businessman that's in hiding in America. And there's him with
here's a Q account.
Yeah, there are.
Not
yeah,
banned from Twitter yet.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, there he is.
Yeah, he won't be banned though. He's pretty smart. I mean, he'll never be banned.
Yeah, him and Steve Bannon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he distanced himself from Steve Bannon for a little while. When Steve Bannon still under investigation? Or?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what, man? I don't really use these guys.
He's not a guy I really trust that much, you know.
Yeah, I don't use these guys as China experts. In like I'm sure there's a lot of people that do. My father-in-law really likes Miles Guo. He's a real big Miles Guo fan. So I doubt Miles is going to watch this because I'm a real small guy. But if any of his people are, my father-in-law is a huge fan. So when he was stuck here at I'm at my house right now, by the way. When my father-in-law was stuck here during COVID and couldn't fly back to Shenzhen, we would be watching Miles Guo, and I would be there. I'm not such a personal big fan. I'd be there suffering at home with Miles Guo on my TV. He's a good showman, and like he always leaves people hanging. But how I feel, and my personal opinion is, he is an absolute China expert and an expert in the interworkings of the party pre Xi Jinping. I don't think he's necessarily an expert post Xi Jinping. I think China's really changed under Xi Jinping's administration, and you can no longer say, I mean, in my opinion, without doubt, you can no longer say that the Chinese government is not politically savvy, because in my opinion, they're really working foreign governments and foreign economies like it's nobody's business. And it's almost like, you know, I'm a Canadian, so here I am in Canada. I'm in the lovely city of Ottawa. Right? I'm really close to Parliament, actually, at my house. And you know, I get really triggered by the Canadian politicians and the Canadian government, and by the American government, and by the British government. I'm just thinking, like, why aren't you guys doing your homework like they did. Like they got to the place that they were from watching and studying your governments. Why aren't you watching and studying their governments and studying their moves? Why are you reacting instead of anticipating? Do you know what I mean? Like this is my big problem with Western governments. Anyways, yeah, Miles Guo, I'm a huge fan, but I don't think he's the expert that he claims to be. But I would love to be, even just have a correspondence with him would be wicked cool.
So Miles Guo, he's a rich guy. He's a dissident, yeah. What is Miles Guo?
Oh, he's fuck off. He's fuck off rich, right? Like he is super rich. I think he funds. I don't know if this is true or not, but if I had to guess, he probably funds some media organizations, and him and Steve Bannon use the same microphone. Fun fact. So I reckon that he probably funds some people to do their job, and it seems like he's kind of running I don't want to say a media war, but he's kind of running some sort of awareness campaign to the evils of the Chinese government. But I don't know. Like I don't really follow him very strictly. He's got some sort of flag behind him. I think he when he broadcasts. Do you follow any of his stuff? Or?
Well, I guess he's fighting the info war like Alex Jones, huh?
Yeah. So he's got a flag behind him, and it's got these blue stars on it. Looks very European Union to me, and not very Chinese. So he's made this like new Chinese Republic thing, right? Yeah, something like that. I mean, I just can't get behind that, man. I just not that I get behind communism, because I'm not really into communism. Oh, look at the picture. What he's got a cat on his. Is that a cat on his lap?
It's a little dog.
Oh my gosh!
Pomeranian.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about?
Oh, what a dandy this guy.
Yeah, Steve, man. Like, listen. For all your money and wealth, I think he's surrounded himself with sycophants, and he's getting nothing but yeses and yeses and yeses. Do I look good in this white suit with this dog? And the answer is yes, and always will be yes. Oh my God, my daughter would laugh at me if I did that.
Dude, we did an ad campaign for the big boss at Wanda back in the day, before Wanda got in trouble. So he did a big Chinese New Year, like those festivals or parties they do for Chinese New Year for a company. They get all the employees together at a huge banquet hall, and everybody performs on a stage. So he did like a Cui Jian song, like an old Chinese rock song. So he gave us a ton of money to promote that video on YouTube all around the world, like to do like a world tour for this dude. And like it was like the first day we're gonna promote in East Asia, we're hitting Japan, and then we're gonna hit Australia, then we're going to North America, then in Europe, and everybody's gonna see.
Pay.
Oh, it was a lot. It was a stupid amount of money to promote a guy that nobody knows about, very rich man in China, but outside of China, nobody knows who this guy is, and he's singing a Chinese rock song that nobody knows. Mm-hmm. So it was the biggest waste of money I've ever seen.
Hey man, do you like Chinese rock music?
I like some of the old stuff. Yeah, like some of the 90s, 80s and 90s stuff. Like Cui Jian I like. Yeah. I like Tang Dynasty. Mm-hmm. Like some of the bands in China that were influenced by hair metal in America.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I enjoy some of that stuff. Yeah.
It's a wild music. It's a really funny music scene because it's so tightly regulated that it's really funny how it and China produces. I can hear like if I'm listening on the radio, I can hear like when somebody's been produced in China because they're so overproduced and they bring elements from so many different Western songs. I'm not a big fan of Chinese music, but I like that song, that One Night in Beijing. I like Cantonese.
Oh yeah, One Night in Beijing is a classic. That's a KTV classic.
It is, man. It's wicked awesome.
Yeah. So that's a great. So it's just a really epic song about having a night in Beijing, and it's.
Yep. Yeah, that's just it. Yeah, classic.
So for anybody who doesn't know, KTV is karaoke, and in China, can you explain what karaoke is like in China?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a proper experience of it.
20 years in China and no proper KTV experience.
I never had the foreigner KTV experience. I've only been there for like singing and other stuff. At like business meetings and stuff, if you go to KTV for a business meeting, people can use that to entrap you and extort you, right? Like, so they get you to do something bad together with them, and then they have dirt on you, right? So it's in your best interest to keep yourself as clean as possible when you're inside China, especially with these sorts of things. It really is. I mean, honestly, the Chinese are famous for it. They wrote the book on it. So, anyways, my experience at KTV has only been singing and having these sorts of things, and it's mostly been a company, you know, like a company outing, right? Like we all, like our assistants would be there to work. So it's not like we're doing that sort of party because we got to work the next day with these guys. And it would be weird. But I've known people online talk about this sort of stuff, and KTV can have two coins. It's a coin with two sides. It can be ultra seedy, or it can just be a good time with your friends. And the ultra seedy side is pretty gross. In fact, I think I posted a video on my Telegram channel today of a bar that was all men, and now rich women are going to select men.
Oh, Yadza, huh?
Yeah, ducks. Yeah, it's the Chinese translation would be ducks. Yeah, so chicken is a female prostitute, a duck is a male prostitute.
Yeah, that whole trend started in Japan with like the host.
Did it?
Have you ever seen that guy, like the king of host in Japan? This dude.
Wow.
He's like the most charming. Well, yeah, he looks like a chick here, but he's like the king of host in Japan. He's like the most charming dude. So women pay to just spend time with him, like an escort. But I don't even think he has sex with them.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh, jeez. Well, what a time to be alive, Nate.
But KTV. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a terrible singer, and so I don't really do KTV. My wife has got a set of pipes on her, and actually, like a lot of people don't know, I've been together with my wife since 1 year after arriving in China when I went to university. So we've been together since then, and that is a long time now. I think we're 17, 18 years together now. We've been married for 11 of those.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So a long time. So I'm like one of these guys. Like I really love my wife. When we go to KTD, I'm either going with like staff members or I'm going with her. So it's not like one of these. I wouldn't even be interested in that sort of thing. Like I actually kind of find that to be a bit seedy and gross, really. And I've heard some really gross stories, honestly, from guys, and knowing that there's a lot of how do you say this properly? A lot of people aren't educated about hygiene. Is that the best way to say it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, like you know that guy on WeChat Midnight on Ticker. He's got these adjectives to describe it. And I guess he's like very flamboyant about this, and or not flamboyant, but doesn't hide it or whatever. So he always talk about like the strong smells. I was always make this joke about like why would you shower in winter when you don't even sweat? So like this is a thing that some people do in the South. Like really they think, oh, it's not hot, so why would I shower? And meanwhile they'd have these disgusting body odors from them. And I heard so many stories about like disgusting body odors on prostitutes, and I just that really grosses me out on so many levels.
Yeah, that sounds
so many levels. So I've never been, the horror stories scared me away. And and another thing, man, I'm from a really small town in Canada, like a really small town. I don't even think we had a prostitute in the entire city where I was growing up.
In China, I'll just explain a bit about KTV, because KTV is just karaoke, but in some contexts it could be a private room, and you go with a bunch of guys, and then they send a bunch of girls in, and there's like a lineup, and you pick a girl you want to spend time with.
In most contexts, it's like that.
Well, I would say in Shanghai, not so much.
No. Not in the cities. No. Not in the major cities. Not in Shenzhen or Beijing or Shanghai or other cities. So China's entered a whole bunch of new cities onto their first tier list, right? Mm-hmm. So the first any new first tier city will have to abide by first tier city rules. So that's going to be all pushed out. And even like there was a town Dongguan, which is famous for its prostitution. It's funny because everybody says that Wheels is in Dongguan, Wheels in Dongguan. I've never even been to the city. I've driven past it one time on the way to Huizhou, but I've never been. Apparently, they don't even do that in Dongguan anymore, and it was famous for that. But what they do is they push these industries out to the countryside. And so these industries are still very much up and running, and they're still the vast majority of the KTVs inside the country are these seedy ones, right? Yeah. And they have them in cities as well, but they're probably responsible for a lot of the human trafficking inside the country, right? I would reckon, because if you know a little bit about the industry, like I think that a lot of the girls have like a branding on them, which is like a tattoo. And they usually have it in a place that's openly visual, so like on their hand or like on their neck or something like that. So the idea is it's like they're, you know, once a slave, always a slave sort of thing. So you'll never be able to hide it. And you could say if somebody's been bought and sold several times, they could have several tattoos all over their body as they're bought and sold between different houses. It's really seedy. It's really awful. I'm really happy that it's out of the cities, and I haven't seen anything like that in Shenzhen in at least 10 years.
Yeah, and Dongguan, I think it was 2012, 2013 when that happened, the big crackdown.
Something like that, yeah. I don't know. They really cracked down. I remember foreigners were venting about it online. Yeah,
because I met
they took our whores.
I met a bunch of older guys in China who worked in manufacturing. Manufacturing, like back when you went over there, early 2000s, mid 2000s. Yeah,
hey, I am an older guy.
Yeah, well, guys that are older than you, though. And they would tell me all these crazy stories about how they'd work on projects, manufacturing projects with a bunch of Taiwanese guys. And those Taiwanese guys would come over, they get their products made in Dongguan or whatever, and they go out to KTV, and they would do this really crazy, disgusting stuff. Like they would get a girl, make her lay down on a table, and they would burn her pubic hair with a lighter and like laugh about it. Yeah, it's so strange. Like why, and just cruel as well. It's just.
But these things, they happen all over China. Honestly, thank God they're not in the big cities. The cities are really safe, really clean, and really low crime. I mean, let's face it. I could walk down Shenzhen in the middle of the night and be perfectly safe, and never in my wildest dreams would I ever feel that I'm in danger at any time.
Better
some
yet,
North American
your
cities,
wife could.
I don't think I could. Pardon me?
Better yet, your wife could walk down the street late at night and have no.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of rapes that happen in Shenzhen. Like it doesn't get reported in the news, but these things happen. And there's like straight up like serial killers going around Shenzhen too. Like it doesn't make it to the news, but like I remember just a few years back, like right before we left, there was these guys that were going around onto electric bicycles. This is the reason why they got rid of the electric bicycles, mind you. Like, and the electric bicycle taxi drivers. You remember those guys?
Inside story.
So what happened was they would get onto the bike with the guy in the back, and then they would inject him with something to knock him out, and then they would ride the bike with this limp guy in the front of him. Then they would take him, they'd harvest all his organs.
Oh my
God. Then they chop him up into pieces, him or her, chop him up into pieces. And they put them in the Shenzhen Bay, and it was washing up. And I lived right on Shenzhen Bay, and it would be washing up on the shores. I mean, I never saw it, but it would be. What we had to do on Weibo was we had to write these messages backwards. We had to like encode our characters, like this character here, that character there, and then have like a number code on top of it, so we could piece our sentences back together. And that's how we were sharing our messages on Weibo, so we could beat the censors, we could beat the algorithm. This is years ago, mind you, and that's how we found out about this one. Was just one of these sort of coded messages, and we read about it, and it's got pictures and shit, and we found out about it, and it was true, and it was happening all over. They found some fall guy for a homeless guy, and he had these mangled hands, and obviously not surgical. But it was straight up a doctor working with him. Like it's a real thing, and this isn't a first tier city. This isn't Shenzhen.
Yeah.
So like I would be safe there because there would be a lot of suspicion if a foreigner went missing. Now foreigners have gone missing in Shenzhen more often than I'd like to admit, but it's not as often as say Chinese women or in this case like Chinese electric bicycle taxi drivers.
So what's the story with the foreigners that disappeared?
Oh, I don't know. One dude was, I guess, as I heard, one guy was sleeping with another guy's wife, and he was a Canadian guy, and we tried contacting him, and nobody ever heard from him again. And the other guy was like a rumored American dude, and kind of a similar story. But hey, man, don't shit where you eat, right? So.
Yeah.
You got to remember too, like China can be pretty lawless, and or it can be pretty lawful if you know the right people and you want to exact the right revenge, right? So, I wouldn't do anything like that in China, and you can find yourself really outnumbered or really segregated really fast if you do the wrong thing.
Yeah, crime in China is more organized, you could say, right?
It is. Yeah, it's organized, disorganized, isn't it? Like, car thieves are really bad at their job, right? Like it's. Like a lot of the thieves over in China, it's just like, come on, guys, take your jobs, have a little bit of pride, right? Like, they're doing these like low level scams, but then again, there's like really professional pickpockets, or, these guys like they attach like a razor blade on their thumb and they'll like zip it across your pocket and take your cards out and stuff, like, just unbelievably professional. But then again, the vast majority of them are really shabby and poor at their job.
What do you think is the craziest thing you experienced over there?
Oh, yeah, I've been there for a long time, and I've been in the countryside. I want to say like dead bodies, seeing dead bodies, but that's probably not the craziest. I think the craziest was seeing like a person poop at a construction site. And I remember I was driving by in a taxi, and I looked down at the ditch, and there was a young lady just squatting there in a ditch, just taking a poop like it was nobody's business. So really, like Shenzhen's a busy city.
So that was more shocking than the dead body.
Yeah, but because of what happened next, I looked away in disgust. But as I was looking away in disgust, out of my taxi window, I caught the eye of a foreigner, like a redhead foreigner, and I was like pointing. I was like, look, and he looked, and he was disgusted as well. He was like, oh, and that really made my day. And that was one of the craziest things that happened. Like, what a situation to happen. And it was kind of like that Stand By Me moment when the guy Lardass is eating the pies and he starts throwing up, and he's kind of like a chain reaction to throw up. Like, we were both like equally disgusted by the scene, but yeah, nobody else really seemed to mind. I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to say what was the most weirdest thing or craziest thing. China's chaotic. It's crazy. Like, crazy shit happens all the time, man. Like, all the time.
So you know those split pants the little kids wear?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to pull up a picture because it'd probably be child porn.
No, yeah, please don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But it's basically these pants that are split, so their genitals and behind are exposed, so
the
they can easily go to the
removed,
bathroom. So instead of having a diaper, you can just walk around, pop a squat, go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. So kids in China tend to potty train faster than American kids because of that.
Yeah.
That's what I hear, at least. So one time I was on a K train once, and it was in Jiangxi province. I think it was like going from Zhejiang to Nanchang, and a K train is like the really old, crappy, slow train. And I was in the hard seat,
I've been on.
The old, crappy seat section with all the nongs, you could say, all the nongmin.
I think I know where this story is going. I think I've had a similar experience. Go on.
Well, there was a kid who was laying down wearing the split pants, and then there was this auntie or grandma, and she starts like tickling him, and then she starts spitting on her fingers and playing with his penis.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah.
And she was like laughing, and like it was like this playful, cute thing she was doing, but I was so disgusted and freaked out. I think that was maybe one of the weirdest. One of the weirdest things I've seen.
Yeah, that's. I thought your story was going to be that they peed on the ground, and every time the train stopped, the pee crouched closer to you every time.
That would be too predictable, I think.
Yeah, it's impending doom. That's happened to me. Yeah, I've seen some really inappropriate stuff in China. This happens on Chinese internet, doesn't it? Where people will post these like extremely inappropriate videos, right? Like extremely inappropriate.
Yeah, like somebody like something pinching a kid's penis or something. Just really gross stuff. I'm like, get this off my phone.
In fact,
delete this stuff.
TikTok, when they were trying to do their rollout into India, actually had problems with this, didn't they? Because they didn't conform to the India's internet standard of like their censor standard, right? So they had to prevent TikTok from coming in. It was considered like that pedo app, and then they I guess limited it, and then that was called Operation Blue Sky in China, by the way, and then they vastly limited the amount of content that you could post on TikTok. Actually, Operation Blue Sky affected us in this Lantian Blue Sky, not to be confused with the Americans, was to have a peaceful cloud, right? That was the idea, Blue Sky. And they took a whole bunch of inappropriate content off of WeChat, Weibo, and TikTok, which is Douyin, right? So,
sorry, I was testing my soundboard. Hey, I gotta ask you a question. How many foreign countries have you lived in? Is it just China?
I've only lived in China. I've only lived in China. I've traveled to a lot of countries. My wife and I enjoy travel, but with COVID right now, we really can't. When we do travel again, we'll be going to Taiwan, and I'll be flying some of my family members from the mainland over to come meet us in Taiwan, as opposed to meeting us in the mainland. Last time I was stopped at the border, and I was questioned, and they had to borrow my phone. I keep a China phone and a Western phone. So my China phone, everything was fine, but it gets a little bit nerve-wracking every time I cross the border. Not because of what I do online in any events, it's just because of the nature of things. Like I got a lot of crosses on this border. You know what I mean? They start asking why you crossing the border so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to get more information. They want to get more biometrics, and they want to incorporate me more into the system in China. I'm just not prepared to just go down that road just yet.
All right, so you lived in one foreign country, and that means you get one Mr. Worldwide. So you're pretty low on the totem pole, I gotta say.
No, I'm very low, but that's 20 years invested, right? So almost 20 years invested. It'd almost be like, what did you do in your teenage years if you're living around all these other countries, right?
Yeah. So one Mr. Worldwide, that's one foreign country, but yeah, I gotta give you more credit. Because 20 years in China, that's more than most. And
that's a long time, yeah.
What's that like, though, like being married, being so invested in a foreign place? Do you feel kind of torn between two places? What's that like?
Yeah, I am. I'm very torn. I don't really fit in here in Canada. As a result, like my ideas, my thinking is now considered to be old-fashioned. I left early 2000s, so that's when kind of like when media really stopped for me, when music really stopped for me, when I stopped caring about what was really happening inside the West, and I directed my attention to China because that's where I was and that's where I was working. And it was an up and comer, and I really convinced myself if I worked hard, I could do something with it.
So when you came back to Canada, were you like listening to Limp Bizkit or something?
No. I kind of stopped listening to music. And I didn't know how to use the internet, like I didn't know how to use these apps. I didn't know how to use cashless payment here. I was looking for QR codes for everything. It was really difficult integrating. And we traveled a lot when we were in China, but everywhere we went, every country I went to, I can use my WeChat Pay. And I still use my WeChat Pay here in Canada, Mike. This is a big thing. And I don't understand why, this is a thing in the American news, by the way. I don't understand why the Americans are still allowing private citizens to use WeChat Pay. I mean, it's the biggest scam going in the States right now, or in Western countries.
Well, I can't use it outside of China because my passport is registered on my WeChat banking. Same for Alipay. I can use it fine in China, but once I leave China, it's like only Chinese citizen can use this outside of China. But you could use it.
You can link a credit card to it, right? You can link a foreign credit card to WeChat. And you could, so that was an update that they put in a few years ago. But I mean, why would you want to spend American dollars and bring it into the Chinese economy? That would be crazy. But what they do is just kind of that. So like if I run a market, so say I run a market, I can buy some goods. and I can buy these goods, and then I can have these goods sold for money that never even makes it into Canada. So somebody can come in, they can sell these goods to them on WeChat, and then there's a WeChat transaction, no Canadian transaction. That money goes right to a bank account in the People's Republic of China, and that's from a person inside Canada that's just living in Canada, floating above the Canadian economy. So they don't even have to earn Canadian dollars or American dollars or any other dollars to live in that country. They can live in that country indefinitely using Chinese dollars, and their own community will support them up. Now, the Chinese government definitely 100% props these businesses up so it can support their own people. It's in their best interest to do so, right? This is not a secret by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, when I moved to the States, I was trying to get my RMB out of China. In a legit way, of course, nothing illegal. But somebody turned me onto this website where you get on there and you say, I want to turn this much RMB into dollars, and then it connects you with a Chinese person.
Yeah.
And then you send them on WeChat, and then they send you on Zelle or another like US money transfer tool. And I don't know if that's legal or not. So I don't want to say if I did it or not, but you know.
Yeah, well, what we did was something a little bit different. We did a tranche, which is like 3 payments over. But when we sold our house and we're getting ready to move all our equity over, or the majority of our liquid assets over, we went to a company like a money changer, and then we had a deal with another company where we would lend them money. And they have a company over here in Canada as well. And then our money lending would have a time stipulation sort of thing. And then we would get paid back here, and there would be a money changer involved. It's all legal, right? Like we follow the legal process, but that's the legal process to bring your money out of China. We had to pay a lot. You have to pay taxes on both ends. So we had to pay a lot to do it, but that's how you do it, really. And the other one is Chinese citizens are allowed $50,000 to take out every year, right? But you could apply for extra, right? So if you have like 2 kids, you could say, oh, it's really expensive in the States. I need 100,000 American dollars every year. No problem. You can bring that over to China, over to America. But typically speaking, people are using a lot of WeChat to do their daily transactions. And it really undermines the North American economy by doing so.
Damn.
So, I mean, I had a difficult time transitioning, but I didn't have a difficult time using my WeChat Pay while I was here inside Canada. This is a big thing. I don't know why the American government is not pushing back hard enough on this aspect. Like, they're really getting screwed over by it.
Our Congress is useless, but I don't really want to talk about my American beliefs. Not really the point of this show.
I get you.
So back to expat talk. So we've actually been talking for 2 hours. I should let you go really soon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm a chatterbox, so I get on these side topics, and I just got so much to say.
No, I'm loving it, and I want to ask you if you do have time, can you tell me about? So you talked about the lady shitting. That was like the weirdest thing you experienced, maybe, or one of them. How about the weirdest expat?
Thing that came to mind?
Yeah. Well, how about the weirdest expat you've met over there?
Oh gosh, the weirdest expat. Well, a lot of people talk about this Carl guy, but he's not the weirdest. He's a bit weird, but he's not the weirdest. Oh gosh, the weirdest expat I ever met was a guy named Andy. I'm not going to say his surname. I don't talk to him anymore. He was a British guy, and he looked like a vampire, and he had really white skin and black bags under his eyes, and he came into the office every morning at 8 drinking a 2-liter bottle of Coke and talking about World of Warcraft. And one year at Halloween, he came dressed up in full LARP gear before LARPing was even a thing. I swear to God, this guy was like Dwight from The Office, and but a lot more creepy and weird and white-skinned. And he was the weirdest guy, the best stories. He was always dialed up to 11, and he had like a real funny way to look at things. And it's just the coolest guy to work with, really weird, really zany, and I just loved working with him.
Cool. So Carl, I talked about
Not Carl.
Episode 4.
A lot of people.
So,
you had Carl on your show?
No, I want to. So I did get a response from him, not directly, but we talked about him on episode 4 and showed some video of him. And he's famous for, saying, well, I'll pull up the soundboard just to give you a taste, but...
You're a fucking lump of cunt.
He's always saying stuff like that and like
Yeah.
waving his
That's right.
giant flaccid penis around. So we showed some
That's right.
Carl content before. He responded by saying something similar to what he usually says. I can't say
Yeah.
it because there's some F slurs in
Yeah,
there.
sure.
But yeah. So Carl's pretty famous, and there's a lot of these characters on WeChat that get this notoriety. You know, I think Carl's up north.
Well, that's
I never
kind
met
of his
him.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of his thing. That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
I'll let him have it.
All right. Well, do you have any advice for, expats who are looking to maybe invest a lot of their life in China, get married to a Chinese woman, buy property?
I do
you
have
any
advice for expats that are interested in going to China. Don't go to China. China's not the country for you right now. It's just not for you. If you think it is, you need to think it over. Listen, if you want any advice, you come reach out to me on the Underground Silk Railroad communique. DM me. I'll tell you exactly why. But listen, you cannot take your money out of that country. It's going to be very difficult to take your money out of that country. You will not get a fair working contract. Your landlord will rip you off. You will you'll propel yourself backwards in life. The days of the Wild West, that ship has sailed out of China. It is no longer what it is. It's not the cash cow. Doesn't have the potential. You do not have enough money to buy into their economy anymore. Look at Taiwan. It's up and coming, right? India is an up and coming country. Japan is lit. That is a great place to go to. Korea is a fantastic country. There are a lot of great countries inside Asia. It doesn't have to be China. And let me ask you this. If you're interested in going to China, are you interested in using or giving your good efforts, the best years of your life, or your contribution to society? Do you really want to contribute it to a communist society? Is that what you want to do in life? Because China today is not China of yesteryear. When I go back to China, pardon me, I go back as a tourist, right? That's fine. It's a beautiful country. There's lots of cool stuff. But if you're going there to live, think it over, right? Just think it over. Your governments are giving you warnings for a very good reason.
Okay, cool. And yeah,
let me say this. If you're going to go to travel, it's an awesome country to go travel to. There's some beautiful cities. There's great people, delicious food. It's just not the country for you to travel to live in. Taiwan has all of that same stuff.
Yeah, and then China has some great mountains, like very special
It
landscapes
does, man.
that you don't
like
see anywhere else.
Guilin, Yangshuo,
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, they have the paintings about those. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, I think we can end the show, but how about you plug some of your channels or activities or share any last thoughts?
You guys can catch me on the Underground Silk Railroad communique, the USR communique. That's at Underground Silk. I didn't want that tag. That's the one they gave me nonetheless. I'm also on Telegram. That's t.me/ischina, China with an R on the end of it. That's a spinoff on from the WeChat group title. And that's about it. I mean, otherwise, you could DM me if you want to get in contact with me. I reply all my DMs. I try to reply comments here and there, but if you really want to talk to me, hop on a Telegram. I'm on there all the time.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you next time.